It sounds simple, but we've had bad mash before, especially under pressure. It's got to be smooth, it's got to be seasoned, you want to get some of that butter through it.
And we'll start adding the milk and the butter into it, so it's nice and rich. And we're ready to plate.
Oh, nice.
Sausages on. A nice big dollop potato puree. First job, I'm going to start the beer and onion gravy. And I'm going to use a stout for my sauce. Nice, bitter stout. Get that slowly reducing. I'm going to get my onions on. So I'm looking for our chefs to cut them nice and neatly.
Marcus, why did you choose bangers and mash?
It's not only a home-cooked dish, it's a pub dish, it's a restaurant dish. There are lovely little key skills in here Monica and I will be looking for. Get those into there.
I'd hope they walk in here and don't think, you know, oh, bangers and mash, done in 10 minutes. Use the time carefully to cook them beautifully, to make a wonderful sauce to go with it, and the best mashed potato they've ever made.
And that's quite a lot of onions, but when it's an onion gravy, I want onions in my sauce. So, next, I'm going to get my sausages on. Sausages, for me, are all about just great colour all the way over. I don't want one side coloured more than the other. I don't see one side burnt. It's all small little points of detail. I'm just going to sit them in a nice butter paper, and they'll just nicely, just gently tick over in there. Onions are caramelising, and now I'm going to flame them with some brandy.
Flambe bangers and mash. You know you're on Pro MasterChef when that happens.
I'm going to put a little splash of balsamic vinegar, a little bit of stock. So the stout is nicely reducing, so I'm now going to counteract the bitterness of it by just incorporating a little bit of honey.
If our chefs don't sweeten the reduced stout or the reduced ale, it's going to be very bitter, yeah?
Yeah. So just adding the stout into there, just a bit at a time, keep reducing that down.
Lots and lots of care and love going into that gravy.
I want them to make a mash. I've got some milk in here just warming through. I've given them a baked potato. Push it through, don't scrape it through, because it'll just get claggy.
It sounds simple, but we've had bad mash before, especially under pressure. It's got to be smooth, it's got to be seasoned, you want to get some of that butter through it.
We've all had this. You must have had this dish when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, my dad was a potato merchant, as you know, so I think we've probably had potatoes pretty much every day of our lives. Potato puree into the pan. And we'll start adding the milk and the butter into it, so it's nice and rich. And we're ready to plate.
Oh, nice.
Sausages on. A nice big dollop potato puree.
Oh, mate.
And there you have it. Bangers, mash, beer and onion gravy.
That's making bangers and mash about as posh as you can, that is.
I think our chefs are going to be in for a little bit of a surprise with this one.
Monica, you are going to keep a watchful eye from the back room.
Right.
We'll see you back for the tasting.
First in is Private Chef Dan, whose childhood in Birmingham inspired his love of food.
I'm half Cantonese, quarter English, quarter Irish, so it's a big mix there. I grew up around Chinese food on the weekends, lasagnas, cottage pies in the week. I'd say my food style is a mix of modern European and Asian cuisine, focusing on big flavours and what you can get out of each ingredient. First time in the MasterChef kitchen, nerves will hit me, no doubt. I'm used to walking into new environments, but this is a different ball game, and I'm hoping I just don't crumble.
This skills test was set by Marcus.
Good to meet you, Dan. I'd like you to make for us bangers and mash, served with a beer and onion gravy. 20 minutes, Dan, off you go. Right, Dan, you got a plan?
I'm kind of putting it together as I go along, so I'm gonna saute off some garlic, some onions for my gravy. I'm gonna get the sausages in, brown them off, get a nice colour, finish them off in the oven. And that'll be for my mash.
OK.
It's never easy for any chef to walk into a different kitchen. Got to think on his feet what he's making.
So what type of chef are you, Dan?
I've worked in restaurants most of my life, and then I moved to private chefing about a couple of years ago.
OK. It's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very different. You can focus more on your own style when you're a private chef, but obviously you miss the interaction with other chefs in the kitchen.
Have you cooked this type of dish for the people that you work for?
No one really asks for bangers and mash, if I'm completely honest with you. I know it's criminal.
I would. Ever you had a private chef, I bet you'd ask for bangers and mash.
Most certainly. At least twice a month.
Oh, sausages are bursty. That's a shame.
I'm just going to finish them off in the oven.
You've got 10 minutes left.
So tell me about the sauce. How are you going to make that?
I've just sweated down some onions and some garlic. I've added a couple of bay leaves for some flavour. I'm going to add the beer. Honestly, I'm doing this as I go along.
It would have been good to at least see him reduce that beer down before he put the stock in. I don't think he's going to have the depth of flavour.
Are you happy with everything you've done so far?
To an extent, it's the most simple dish and it just caught me completely off guard.
What do you just put into that sauce? Some honey?
Some honey, yeah. Why? I want some sweetness through it. It's quite bitter at the moment because you've got the ale and everything.
Oh, he's passed the onions up. Oh, I like the onions in the gravy.
We've got just 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
All right. You're going to have to get it on a plate.
Now, you got a plan of how you're going to address this?
No, I haven't, but I assume there's only so far you can go with bangers and mash.
Yeah, it's not very thick. It's not like a gravy. And it's also, he's passed all the body out with the onions. Oh, dear.
All done?
Yes.
All right, Dan?
Very well, thank you, chef.
Sounded easier than it was, huh?
Dan, you could have caramelised the sausages a little bit better, which is unfortunate because it's sort of burst one of the sausages open. Pompure, it's nice, it's smooth. Onion gravy, leave the onions in. But you do have a nice flavour of beer in there, and by counteracting the bitterness of the ale with the honey, you've got a lovely balance. Not bad at all.
From what I could see, there is a chef here. You showed great knife skills. You're very tidy and methodical in what you're doing here. Don't overthink it.
Interestingly, Dan, you haven't actually got off to a bad start. And actually, it looks like you know what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks, chefs. I was expecting like classical French, stuff like that, and you get hit with sausage and mash. And because it's so simple, your mind starts running. You want to elevate it a bit more, and I just didn't in the end.